up, guys? Welcome back. If I look a little harried or I seem a little tense, it's because I have already tried to film this video once, and this palette kicked my ass. So while I don't self-identify as a professional makeup artist, this looks innocuous enough, right? We have all of these really beautiful neutral shades. Well, that's what you would think, except this is my first time using anything Natasha Denona, and I was wholly unprepared for how pigmented all of these shades are. So I mean, you look at these and you're like, really? Did she need Sahara and Pastel Melon? But they pack such a pigment punch that I need to just like regroup, rally, and take this a second time around. So join me on this journey as we apply a full face of Natasha Denona, and let's just pray that this one works out for me. Alright, so I've got my primer, and my skincare, and my sunscreen, and everything on right now. This is the Natasha Denona Foundation X Full Coverage Fruit Complex, and the girl behind the counter at Sephora told me that Natasha Denona basically puts a bunch of crushed pearls in all of her stuff, and so her stuff is really beautiful. I did not even know that she made a foundation. I started out, kind of piqued my curiosity. I mean, all the YouTubers that I watched, they all had talked about the Natasha Denona eyeshadow palettes before and how beautiful and pigmented they are, but my initial curiosity was piqued by Superglow when it came out because I got the email from Beautylish and I was like, oh, okay, that's a Natasha Denona product I can afford. I mean, $38 for a highlighter is still a lot, but I also am not in, like, champing at the bit to be paying $225 for an eyeshadow palette. So I hadn't bought any of her palettes in the past, and so I decided I would try the highlighter. But I thought, I don't want to make an entire video just about a highlighter, and so I went to Sephora and I looked into the rest of her stuff. Not only does she make some really beautiful foundation that this is my second time applying, I do actually really like this. The coverage level is gorgeous. The shade matches, it's not quite perfect. It's a little bit too dark for me, but we can work with it. I just was like, ugh. And then this palette was actually on sale. It's back up to $129 right now, but it was on sale for $75 when I went in there, which is what made me pull the trigger because I just want to get to know Natasha Denona as a brand. So this is the foundation. This is just one quick little coat. You guys saw me put this on. It is so beautiful. It is so lightweight. You could build it up to full coverage, but you can still see my freckles. So I don't mind that she calls it a full coverage foundation because for the lightweightness of it, it is very high coverage. So I actually appreciate that about it. It's even lighter weight than a lot of sort of the dewy foundations that I'm accustomed to using. So you can see that this is not a full coverage foundation. It could be built up to be full coverage, but it is not the shellacking that some people might be used to if they're used to like a double wear, or even the Luscious Cosmetics that I love so much that really gives you that just ultimate like snatched flawless finish. I don't think that this is a full coverage foundation in that sense, even though that's what she calls it. I'm going to throw some concealer on and my blush and my bronzer, and then we will come back, we will talk about highlighter, and we're going to have a rematch with this eye palette. Okay, so I've got the rest of my face of makeup on up until highlight and eyeshadow, so we're going to take this little fluffy guy here that I love to use for highlight, and we're going to dip it in this Superglow. So this comes in 3 shades. This is the lightest of them. This is 01 Fair, and it just goes, you know, deeper, sort of warmer golder from there. And we're just going to put this here. And pardon me if I don't act super surprised at how much I freaking love this, because I just did this a half an hour ago or so. But good God, I love her. I am so into this level of glow, and it makes me look like I really am carrying around just a beautiful light that's shining on me in a very flattering way all day long. I just think it's so beautiful. You know, I have definitely spent my money on overhyped highlighters that didn't end up really doing much for me, like the Resi highlighter, which I still don't understand why I own. But this is not the case for this. Like, look at this. I like start to understand that whole like Taupe and Nikki Tutorials thing where they just keep putting it on, where they just sit there and like that's my impression of Nikki Tutorials. Yeah, it's because this is giving me those kinds of vibes. This is like a highlighter for people who just want to be lit from within in the most beautiful, slightly better than natural way. Like I'm obsessed with this. This guy's $38. The foundation is $45. I forgot to mention that. I think that that's really great. This is 1.01 ounces and that is a lot of product. $45 is about what you're used to paying for a luxury line of any foundation really at Sephora. Really, it's like her eyeshadow palettes are then kind of the outlier in terms of expense because most of these are very expensive. So like I said, this guy started out at $129. I got her for $75. These look like a bunch of transition shades, don't they? That was what I thought too, but that's not the case. No, these are so freaking pigmented. It's hard to even really show you guys that, but like the pinks are pink, the peaches are peach, the tans are tan. And so you end up with this really beautiful, very soft, amazing texture of product, but like do not be caught unawares here, guys. These all pack a huge pigment punch and it requires you to take a little bit more time in applying them. So I'm actually going to go with a smaller brush instead of just laying on tons of product all at once. I'm not going to take any shortcuts here, because I do want to see what this palette's capable of. I'm cleaning my brush. And I don't want to have to do it all over again. So I've got my primer on my eyes right now, and I'm actually going to start with Fake Tan right here. Fake Tan looks like it's going to be just like a gentle tan. Like, your girl, I guarantee you, once we get this on, is going to be like painting with a crayon. Look at that. Painting with a crayon? Yeah. So I'm working slowly. This was designed to be my transition shade, but it is not really. The other big glaring issue with this palette, not that it's a bad thing, but for one that looks like it's going to be a very all-in-one palette, we do not have any highlight shades. There is nothing even close to white in here, and this limoncello color right here, it's just glitter. It's not really pigmented. It doesn't have any like actual yellow to it. So transition shade. You guys were asking what a transition shade is, for those of you who are unfamiliar with all these dumb beauty guru terminologies or makeup artist terminologies. A transition shade exists in the area that I'm working right now. It's kind of in the middle right here, and it's going to help kind of bridge your brow bone highlight with whatever kind of deepener and actual like pigment that you put in your crease and on your lid. So that's kind of the thought behind it. So let's try Pastel Melon. This one's very, very peacher than you think it's going to be. And I'm going to throw that right above Fake Tan. The lightest touch ever. This is just, I was not prepared. I know I seem like I'm making a big deal out of this, but you guys should have seen the horror show. In fact, I'll insert what it ended up looking like right here. Yeah, it was my attempt at a halo eye, and it ended up really looking clownish. I want to show you guys what a palette is capable of in terms of wearability. And that was what was really funny, is the initial recording of this video, I said, I'm gonna go for a really natural look. And then it just went so sideways, so fast. And I was like, oh God, I went for like what I thought was going to be like a subtle halo eye. So there is no real pale shade in here. And so I'm going to go into this. This is the Thrive Cosmetics Perfect Eye Palette in Warm Neutrals. This is what I like to call, for those palettes that are not all-in-one palettes, they are companion palettes. This is the companion to a companion palette. This is going to supplement anything that you don't have foundationally that you're going to need out of any other palette. And so you get this really amazing, huge pan of white. And I mean, it's not white, it's a very nice kind of like warm cream color, but it does a phenomenal job with any eye look. Wow, this is going light years better than before. And yeah, if you're like, Wakaki, you're barely like a little bit of the way in, we've done 2 shades. Yeah, it was already going off the rails by then. On the lid, I think I want to do Peach Puff. I want to go for kind of a pink look. That was what I was going for initially, but we're going to stay really gentle here. Gentle, Kaki. We have to sneak up on this beauty look, okay? We gotta sneak up on these eyeshadows. So you'll see that Peach Puff looks like she's going to be this really muted, dusty coral. While I'm making it look like this doesn't have a ton of pigment to it, it's because I'm touching it so lightly. Because the first time I laid down so much pigment all at once that there was really no getting out of it. Wow, that's so pretty. Okay, now I'm going to take Pastel Melon, which I learned the hard way in the last tutorial, that it is quite quite orange. So I'm going to throw that on the inner half of the lid here and blend kind of a peach into a pink. This looks almost like a boring palette with some like showstopper shades added in for good measure. This is not a boring palette. Okay, I'm gonna take my little tiny one again, and I'm gonna go into Sangria and kind of accentuate the fact that this is going pink on the outer edge and take it a little more pink. Or a lot of more pink. Hey, I feel like we're doing something good here. I'm gaining on her. So, gonna take Gusti, which is this really pretty kind of iridescent satin pink right here. It doesn't have a ton of pigmentation to it, it's just kind of glittery. And I'm going to place that a little bit on the pink area here to kind of blend on top of the peach. Very pretty, not necessarily a highlight shade on the lid, just adding a little bit of sparkle. And the reason I seem like I know what I'm talking about is because I've already crashed through this palette in all the wrong ways. So just keep that in mind. I'm like not sure how I feel about that shade. It seems like a really strange choice to put that in a palette because it doesn't really do very much. But I like it. It just doesn't seem to go with the concept of the rest of the palette, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's like I'm so ready to be scared by all of these shades that the fact that I'm not scared by this shade kind of scares me. We're going to go now into the crease with Vintage Taupe here because it's going to be the probably coolest shade, and it's going to add a little bit of shadow here without going like full drama, like super dark. Because I could go with cocoa, but then we'd end up with like a very brown look, and that cocoa, even though it's dark, it's warm, and I don't really want to do that. Limoncello looks like it's going to be a very pretty color. And I want to use it on the inner corner. And I'm going to do it on a wet brush because I did it with my finger earlier and it just doesn't have enough pigment to really do that. So I'm going to try wetting my brush and see if that helps because I don't really need a huge highlight on the inner corner. I just want something. And this is really the only light. I wish you guys could have seen that. The water stood up on the shadow at first. It was like it was waterproof. Very strange. Anyway, so this is like the lightest shade really in the palette. Okay, it works actually really nicely with water. Even though it resists it at first, it's almost like it's because it's making paint, which is cool. Wow, okay, limoncello's kind of like amazing when you hit it with water. It just didn't want to work with a brush or with my finger. You have to wet this to get it to show up. Wow, that's so pretty. And I think on somebody with a deeper skin tone, limoncello would be gorgeous. It's just very similar to my paleness, so you're not going to get a huge contrast there. Ooh, look how pretty! Yeah, I'm just like blown away by what a difference it makes to dampen my brush with this shade. I'm blowing my own mind right now. Alright, I'm actually going to take a little bit of limoncello on a clean brush here and see if I can use it to highlight up here. Because I think that the yellow of it all is really what this look is about. It's this really pretty punch of yellow. I kind of want to bring the orange back in, so I'm going to go with Pastel Melon right up here. Just on this little kind of crescent of my eye right here. I'm still obsessed with that highlighter though. Like, where my eyeshadow is quitting and it's blending into the highlight, like, big fan. Big fan of this highlighter. I love getting excited about makeup. I have gone through periods of time in my life where makeup was obligatory and I had to wear it for work and it became something I didn't enjoy, and I'm just so happy to kind of have this be my job now so I can find things that I look forward to putting on my face. So I'm still not getting what I would like in terms of a good kind of like corner crease darkener shade in here. Again, cocoa is not going to do it. Cocoa is too warm. So we're going to go back into my supplement palette here, I guess is what you would call it. And there's this really pretty kind of like gray taupe shade right here, and that is the ultimate crease shadow. And I just like to do this, like, it's the same thing that I do when I paint, it's the same thing that I do when I'm color correcting my videos or making a thumbnail. I just like to saturate the darks. The shadows, I like them to be really good and bold and deep. And so I want to go ahead and do that with an eye look as well, because it just adds a really nice amount of like, it's like a finished feeling. Okay, so now that we know that limoncello is gorgeous, I am going to do it kind of under the lower lash line. It's going to add kind of an ethereal brightness to this, but I think that that's just enough weird for this eye look, because I went a little too weird before and it bit me in the ass, so. I'm gonna have to make Mike take me somewhere. Looking all cute. It's interesting, when you hit this with some water, you kind of start to get a little bit of a putty texture. Like you start to be able to kind of like pick up little bits of a brand new texture of product off the top. It's very cool. I would highly recommend using water with especially limoncello and gusti. In fact, I'm going to take that same brush, just wipe it off a little bit because we're going to blend, and dampen it again, and I'm going to dip it in gusti and go like kind of finish underneath. Yeah. Can you see that? That is so much better. And again, this does the same thing. It's very much that same formula as limoncello. It has like, when the water mixes with it, it goes to like a putty consistency. I would say that we did a way better job here than the first time that I showed you guys. So I'm going to throw on some lashes, going to clean up around my eyes, and I'm going to do some pomade on my brows real quick, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, so we ended up with this very pink lemonade look on my eyes, and I couldn't help myself. I went for a Barbie pink lip. If you want to know what color this is, I'm really sorry. This is actually a mixture. I put the medium neutral 3 from Tone Cosmetics on. It was a little bit too blue, and so I threw a little bit of Rebel on, which is from Luscious Cosmetics, right in the middle, and then I topped that off with the Zodiac Color Icon lip gloss in Aquarius from Wet n Wild. So it's a lot of lip. Sorry about that, but sometimes I just get to painting while my mascara is drying and I can't stop myself. So this is the look, guys. I am going to wear test this foundation. I will check in with you guys at the end of my day and let you know how it wore. I've got some more videos to film today. I've got to go take my dog to the park and whatnot. Don't let him hear me say that. But I will see you guys at the end of my day and let you know how this went, but thank God we got an eye look on that I can be proud of. And I can actually leave the house in. God bless. It's gonna be very fun while balancing this. Hi. It is 9 hours later. This foundation looks very much as if I just put it on. Let me turn this a little bit so that you guys can see in a little better detail. So because over the course of the day I have noticed that I am very impressed with this foundation, I decided to look up a little bit more information about it. So it says, what it is, a long-lasting, full-coverage, radiant foundation that doesn't set into fine lines and leaves the skin with a naturally radiant, flawless finish. The finish, they say, is radiant, which I didn't know that that was a foundation finish. I thought we were always kind of talking about like, you know, a dewy finish or a skin finish or like a satin finish or like a matte finish. Today we're talking about radiant, apparently. Foundation X Full Coverage Fruit Complex never looks thick, dry, or cakey on the skin. The full coverage foundation is infused with special ingredients that help balance the T-zone area and absorb excess oils in the skin. It's formulated to support anti-aging, and its purification properties help defend against pollution. Things I didn't know I needed. Obviously, everything in the world is formulated without parabens, sulfates, and phthalates, and it is cruelty-free, as is all Natasha Denona. And then, as far as like active ingredients, it's got grapefruit extract, which contains natural detoxification properties that promote skin longevity, and pomegranate extract, which is rich in antioxidants and vitamin C, Helps protect the skin and regenerate skin cells, acts as a natural and strong anti-aging ingredient due to its antioxidant properties. We love antioxidants. We love an antioxidant queen. Couple things here as I get real close, like you guys love that I do, and I would appreciate it if everyone did this too. Few things here. One, I pulled this hoodie, calm down. I pulled this hoodie over my head and I knocked the foundation off my nose. I tried so hard not to, and I still did it. So don't worry about that. I also have an itchy spot right here, so I've been itching around my nose. But I ate dinner, I've been making expressions, I've been in my semi-tepid home and out and about all day, and this is so focused. So beautiful. Yes, I wear glasses, so that's from the nose pads. I would have a crease in my skin regardless of makeup. We went to the dog park. I was out in the sun. I was in the humidity. I am so impressed by this freaking foundation, you guys. Natasha Denona Foundation X Full Coverage Fruit Complex. 9 hours later, I am blown away. It is not greasy. I didn't have to use an oil sheet or anything. I didn't have to powder. It's almost transfer proof. Like, I'm very impressed by, like, normally when you feel something get kind of oily, you just gotta feel it get oily on your skin, and I don't mean with your fingers, like your face can feel it. You can, like, take, you know, a napkin or something, and you can just kind of press it against your skin, and you'll get pigment. I haven't gotten any of that. It's totally different. This is a very different foundation. I don't know why no one's talking about this foundation, and I shouldn't say that. I haven't gone looking, but usually, I don't know, these big brands, like, you hear rumblings, like it's kind of in your periphery no matter what. Like, I haven't heard of any of the beauty gurus that I subscribe to or anything, like, talking about this particular foundation. I've heard them talking about the Tropic palette. I've heard a little bit about the Super Glow, but I have not heard anything about this foundation, you guys. This foundation is a home run, like, amazing. Like, I don't feel like I'm putting a proper point on this. Like, this is really, really good. $45, like, yeah, it's absolutely 100% worth it. This is so beautiful. This palette, I will say, it's just not for beginners, but I would say it's easier to work with than the Fenty palette, but the Fenty palette is kind of where I draw the line. It's just like, whoa, it was just a whoa palette. I'm not sure it was meant for me. I don't think I was their, like, target clientele. Regardless, this is definitely not a bad palette. The formulations are beautiful. It's just, I think, not what some people would expect based on the way that these shades look in the pan. You would think that those two rows are going to be a lot of very mild neutrals that you can just continue to, like, blend and work with, and you just actually get so much more pigment punch for your money here that it could come off kind of unexpected. These I have swatched, and I have also used some of on my eyes, and they are all extremely beautiful. Oh, fine, we'll swatch them real quick. Those are your showstopper shades that I think are absolutely beautiful. The other two, Gusti and Limoncello, that are a little bit on the, you know, getting close to being showstopper shades because they're a little bit bright, but they're not this same kind of, like, creamy texture that are meant to sort of be a focal point on the eye look. They are far better worked with a wet brush. They are, in fact, amazing on a wet brush, but I don't really think they perform super well other than that. Like, not even with, like, a fingertip or anything. Wet brush on those. And the rest of these are mattes, and they're beautiful. They're just highly, highly, highly pigmented. So I was able to achieve this really awesome eye look that I've actually been in love with all day. I want to keep playing with this palette because I think that it is just kind of like a natural next step for me in terms of advanced high pigment palettes. So I'm really enjoying that. And then in case you guys couldn't tell either by the glow that remains on my face right now or me having a fit over it while I was putting it on, I'm a huge fan of this freaking highlighter. Like, it is so gorgeous. I am in love with this highlighter. I buy a lot of highlighters and I try a lot of them and I wear them even if I'm not, like, totally in love with them, but it's gonna take a lot to knock this one off the pedestal because this is an absolutely beautiful highlighter. It has left me with this really, I don't want to say natural glow, but like glow, but like a supernatural glow on my cheeks that isn't like I put eyeshadow on my cheeks, which is really nice. So I think that actually more work goes into a really high quality highlighter than maybe I want to give them credit for, and this is right up there in some of the most beautiful stuff that I've ever used. So, way to go, Natasha Denona. I would say that all of these things get my, you know, whatever it means to you, but my stamp of approval. I definitely think all these are really beautiful products. So, I hope that you guys enjoyed this very in-depth review, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. A thumbs up with several swatches. If you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you guys did. Thank you so much for watching. I love you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.